Business Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local business environment. This is where we address the business topics that matter. Here's your host, Anita Khan.
Good morning and welcome to the Business Buzz. With only one segment this morning, we will hear all about Cayman International School, CIS, and their Cayman Citizen Scholarship Program. With no time to waste because we're heading up to 9 o'clock. Susan's got some sweet music lined up for you in the breakfast session. Good morning, Susan. She's a producer of the Business Buzz, and she's also manning the controls this morning in the next studio. In the studio this morning, we have as a guest Mr. Jim Urquhart. Jim is the director of Cayman International School. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Anita. Thanks for having us.
You're very welcome. And next to him, we have Mr. Moses Ebanks. Good morning, Moses.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. Moses is a second recipient of the Cayman Citizen Scholar, and he's currently at DART working as an accountant. Good morning again.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to have you both in the studio. I feel like I'm in school this morning. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Now, Cayman International School, can you give us some background history of when the school was first established and where is the location? I mean, we know it's in, everybody knows it's in
Sure.
Cayman Bay, but we just want you to just tell us about about it.
Absolutely. So the school began in the early to mid 90s, I believe in 1994, and it was called the Faulkner Academy.
That's right.
It was
That's right.
Yeah, so it was quite an interesting start. There were 4 children. One of the people who initiated that, Miss Nimmy, is still here on island, and she comes by the school periodically, and we're so grateful that she does. And then in the it continued to grow. At that time, I believe it was just not too far from Cost-U-Less, where Cost-U-Less is right now.
Okay.
And then the school continued to grow. And then around 2002, 2003, an organization called International School Services went to agreement and purchased the school. And then it became Cayman International School and has grown since then. Moved to the location in Cayman Bay, not too far. It's a wonderful location, just across the underpass from the art gallery, and we've grown since. And today we're at 960 students when we return after the Easter break.
960 students.
960
That's
students.
a lot. Now, what grade do you start from?
We started in pre-K 2.
Pre-K 2.
So there's the smallest one. Some people might call it nursery, and we go through to grade 12.
So we call that kindergarten. Is that right?
So it would be pre-K 2, pre-K 3, pre-K 4. That's all the early childhood. Then kindergarten, which you might call year 1.
Okay.
And then all the way through. So essentially grade 12 is analogous to, say, year 13 or the final form.
High school. Mm-hmm. Wow, 960 students. Moses, how did you fit in here? When did you start CIS?
I started in 2009.
Okay.
And ended up graduating in 2013. And the experience for me was pretty seamless. It was a bit, nerve-wracking at first, going from like the public school to the private school system. But I made friends really quickly going into the school. It was still my class at the time, or throughout the entire experience, was only 13 people. So we kind of all got pretty well acquainted. So it was pretty small, but close knit, and there was always ample resources available to students and everything. So support services and all the works really. So it was a pretty good experience for me.
And you went in as a second recipient of the Cayman Citizen Scholarship Program.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And now you're an accountant working with DART.
Yes, ma'am.
You look so young. You look like you're in high school still.
As Jim said earlier, I guess that's what scholarships do too. I guess they keep you young.
But that's great. That's great. So how old were you when you started CIS? Can you remember? Take you back a little bit.
Yeah, I want to say maybe 16.
16.
Or 15.
Because you were still in high school.
Yeah.
Right. So how many, you basically did what, 2 years at CIS?
No, I did 4.
4, okay.
Yeah.
So you started year 9,
Yes.
basically, year 9, okay. So, through to year 12.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a full 4-year scholarship.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was pretty good. Yeah.
Wow, that's very nice. Very nice. Now, going back to the scholarship program, Jim, just share a little bit on the mission and community principles of CIS.
Sure. So we have our mission is, it seems maybe pithy, but it's absolutely true. It actually goes with CIS. It's connect, inspire, and serve. And our community principles, I think the key word there is that it's community, so not just referring to our students, but also our staff, our parents, and anybody that's involved in the school and outside. So we have 4 community principles. They're partnership, kindness, sustainability, and good intent. And I think there's very few people that would disagree that that we don't need more kindness in the world today. And
we need it more than ever.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are what we kind of the broad-reaching principles that help guide what we do. Some days we hit the mark perfectly and exceed, and in other days, as you know, education and learning and working with people can be messy.
What happened to those days when you don't hit the mark?
Yeah, well, I think that's when we revert back to our community principles and circle back and help provide guidance in that manner.
Shall we say kindness, partnership, sustainability, and good intent?
Absolutely.
I love the good intent. Explain that a little bit more, Jim.
That's an interesting one because when we work with people, you know, sometimes we'll say, "Oh, Anita, I have some cookies
Yeah, I see
for you."
cookies in front of me, but I don't see coffee.
You don't see coffee, right? And so then you might go, well, "Jim, I prefer coffee and maybe less sweets or something." But the notion that we enter things with good intent and trying to do our best, as well as the people who are working with, that they're receiving it in good intent. Of course, the challenge is with good intent is what is the impact? You know, people bring me, I'm so fortunate children come into my office and there's cupcakes and they bring me all these things, but they don't realize that maybe I'm trying to lose a little bit of weight.
Maybe they should bring an apple right now.
Right. Yeah,
like
the classic.
No,
broccoli.
no.
Yeah, no broccoli. No, nothing against broccoli, but so the trying to balance the notion of good intent and what the impact would be.
Okay. Now, talk to us a little bit about the different aspects of the learning principles at CIS. We heard about the community principles. Now, tell us a little bit about the learning principles at Cayman International School.
Yeah, similarly, we have 4 learning principles. They're shaped by our definition of learning, which refers to conceptual learning, competency learning, and character learning, recognizing that we need to know the broader concepts and how those might apply in the world. Competency, can we do it? So conceptually, Moses might understand the ways of accounting, but is there competency there? And of course, character, the importance of being able to do the right thing, even when it might feel uncomfortable. So that definition of learning informs our 4 learning principles: our context of learning, our language of learning, and our nature of learning. And since I'm old, I need a reminder that the 4th one is the ownership of learning. And so those aspects are critical. To me, a 3-legged stool never wobbles. And so if we were to remove one, I think it's important to remain with 3 items.
If a screw is loose, it might wobble.
If a screw is loose, it's my wobble, yeah. And that's why you see my head wobbling quite often here in the studio. But in that, I feel the notion of ownership of learning, the context of learning, and the nature of learning are absolutely critical. Children and adults, for that matter, want their learning to be relevant. And sometimes it's pretty hard. I was talking with a teacher yesterday, and we're talking, is the Renaissance relevant to our students today? Is there a different Renaissance? How often do you spend time on that when we could be looking at right here on our beautiful island, what are issues, what are concepts, what are things that need to be addressed today that are relevant to our children?
I like the school.
No, we do too. We feel very proud to serve there.
Now, going back to one of the principles of learning, ownership of learning, where it says here that we understand that we're all able to learn and ultimately responsible for our own learning. Now, I know that sometimes, even adults, right? You can try to teach someone something, but if they don't want to learn, it's not going to happen.
No, it's the classic, isn't it? We can lead a horse to water and can't make them drink.
Yeah.
And so creating that environment where you want that ownership. Sometimes the matter, is it relevant? Does the nature and the context help us gain that ownership? Sometimes it's hard lessons that come along the way when we're younger. And then we might look back and realize, oh, right, back when I was in high school, that was ownership of learning. Now I'm experiencing it as a 30, a 40, a 50-year-old.
So you have 960 students.
Correct.
Are they all relating to this ownership of learning?
To a certain degree. We try to make sure we change the language. So we say in one of the 4 principles of learning, the language of learning. A great example of that is our definition of learning, where the older students might think of conceptual competency and character. The younger ones might look at it as head, hands, and heart, which kind of gets across that notion. So does everybody get it right away? No, it takes time, but it gives us a good guiding light.
Moses, you've been quiet, so let's bring you into this conversation. How did you lead up to the scholarship? You had to be doing well at your previous high school.
Right. So prior to CIS, I was in what was called George Hicks at the time, which is now all amalgamated into John Gray. But I was doing pretty well at the time. I had a somewhat balance, between schoolwork and extracurriculars through football primarily, both within the school and at the club level. But leading up to it, because it was relatively new, I hadn't heard of it prior to my principal at the time, Mrs. Ricketts, kind of making me aware of it, saying that, hey, I think you would be a really good candidate for this. And I always credit her every day I see her.
She was looking out for you.
Every time I see her nowadays, I always credit her for, giving me that push to say, I think this would be a really good step for you, and really motivating me, helping me through the process. It was a paper application at the time, so we kind of sat down and went through it, and she made sure that my essay was nice and proofread it and everything. So prior to CIS, that was where I was, and I think I was doing pretty okay. Yeah.
And you just push. It just sent you straight to CIS.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's go back to Jim. Jim, so Moses was a second recipient of the scholarship. Now, what was the main purpose of CIS deciding to offer that Caymanian Citizen Scholarship Program?
I think the original impetus, as it is in most international schools, is sometimes we live on an island. We do live on an island, but I mean a metaphoric island where it seems here's a place where predominantly perhaps expats might be, and what are the multiple ways that you engage into the community. So part of that was to grow those connections in the community. Leaping forward, we moved from, as Moses mentioned when we were talking earlier, from one scholarship to 4, and today we're expanding it to up to 12 scholarships to further make those connections.
So 12 scholarships, and they're all, how many 4-year?
All of them could be 4 years.
Okay, depending on the applicant.
If a student were to come in, in grade 10, year 11, then that would be a 3-year one.
Okay. No, 12. That's good. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
I love a scholarship.
Yeah.
I love a scholarship program. And a lot of parents who are out there, sometimes they don't even realize that is an existing scholarship program.
Right.
So I think the onus is on the teachers of the high schools to get the word out to the students.
For sure, to get the word out. And also it's a delicate balance, isn't it? Like Moses was saying at George Hicks, he's doing well. And does a person want to leave their current school and their friends? And so how do we work together to maybe have the advantages of a scholarship and still acknowledge the past?
How did you fare out, Moses?
Yeah, that was an interesting shift for me because going from the relatively like larger size of George Hicks into CIS, like Jim said, I did leave quite a larger friend group and whatnot. So that transition was interesting, but again, it was pretty smooth as well. I made a lot of new friends and a lot of new connections at CIS. So it really all is about balance because you want to stay in touch with everyone from the past as well as make new friends and stuff. So it was all a work in progress, and it's really up to the individual as well. Like what level of connectivity you want to have between the two different aspects. But
so proud of you.
Thank you.
So proud of you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue a discussion with Mr. Jim Urquhart. Jim is director of Cayman International School, and we have the second recipient of the Cayman Citizens Scholarship, Mr. Moses Ebanks. Thanks to our sponsors this morning, Cayman Insurance Center and Cayman Medical Supplies.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
And for 45 years, we have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Oh gosh.
Don't let the stress of taking care of loved ones get you down.
Home care, now made easier with Cayman Medical Supplies. 100% Caymanian owned. Cayman Medical Supplies now stocks a wide range of home care supplies. Hospital beds, all types of wheelchairs, including beach access wheelchairs, lifts, commodes, shower chairs, walkers, Curad brand orthopedic supplies. Free blood glucose monitors with the purchase of 1 pack of test strips, blue underpads, and a whole lot more.
Need home care convenience? Drop by Cayman Medical Supplies at 93 Smith Road, Windward Center, or call 949-6211. Free delivery.
Open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Still delivering island-wide for your convenience.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
Business Buzz. Business Buzz with your host, Anita Khan.
And we're speaking with, in the studio this morning, Mr. Moses Ebanks. Moses is the second recipient of the Cayman Islands, Cayman International School, their Cayman Citizen Scholarship Program. And we have the director of CIS, Mr. Jim Urquhart. Good morning again, guys.
Good morning.
I'm seeing cookies in front of me, and it's very distracting. Food is always distracting. But what is not distracting is education, because we all need a good education. I believe in someone having, whether it's tertiary or high school or, even professional development, I believe in someone continuing their education. Mind you, I don't like to study. I like to read, but when it comes to studying, I skip that and just go to just free my brain at this point in time. No, let's talk about the scholarship program. What age groups can apply, Jim? And let's talk a little bit about its criteria to apply for the scholarship.
Sure. So, Anita, the age groups to apply would be children going into what would be here on island usually described as year 10, year 11, or year 12, and in our nomenclature it would be grade 9, 10, or 11.
Okay, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, and applicants must meet the financial need criteria.
Right. A component aside from academic merit, artistic, service, athletic merit is we do want to support people that do have some financial need.
Okay. And those application forms are online?
Absolutely. They're online on our school's website at cis.ky, and there's some straightforward forms to complete there, and our admissions team would be standing by to review them.
Yeah. I used to work admissions.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Right here.
Oh, wow.
College students.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. And I just love it, just love the students coming in and all that good stuff. But that's a story for another day. So let's talk a little bit about CIS. Tell us about some of the classes that you have and some of your sport, whatever sporting clubs you have and
sure.
some of your other clubs.
Well, Anita, thanks for asking.
I know nothing about CIS,
okay,
so
perfect.
Me, Jim.
Yeah, well, Anita, I appreciate that you've mentioned other things beyond the classroom. Certainly, there are the academics. I don't think people take full advantage of what all schools, let alone CIS, have to offer if they're not engaging outside of the instructional time in arts, service, and athletics. Some of our maybe more unique classes that might not typically be at school include STEAM, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. I think an R should be added in there, so it's research, so it's STREAM. Certainly all our design courses. We do have a wide range of courses available for students in high school too, so if a certain subject area isn't quite your area of expertise, there's different levels that you can engage in. We're fortunate enough to be the only one of the few authorized schools to offer the International Baccalaureate in the Caribbean, and that's a robust program that's a fantastic university preparatory program. After school, you name the sport, we have it available. You come in the early morning, you'll hear different bands practicing. You see our students outside. Might be something as straightforward as a beach cleanup, or something more complex related to sharing their ideas about sustainability. I guess is a polite way to say protesting.
I know that.
and certainly
yes.
Service around, whether supporting animal shelters. Groups like Meals on Wheels and the like here on island.
Very nice. Now, sometimes I wonder about on a day-to-day basis. You're not a teacher, Jim, are you?
Last century, I was a teacher, very proud science teacher.
You're delegating now, keeping an eye on the whole shimo. Okay. Now, coming up in. What do you call your are you quarters or semesters?
Predominantly semesters, but
okay.
Many of our courses
okay.
Would have changes in units based on the quarter.
Okay. Now, as in a North American-based school, I think there's only one other school here that offers the International Baccalaureate program.
Yeah, in fact, I'd love to meet them because I'm not familiar. I think
okay.
We may be the only school here on island doing the. If not, then I need to meet them. I'm new to the island as well, so I need to.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the nature of the scholarship and what is expected of that student as it relates to that program.
Sure. Certainly keeping their academic eligibility strong. One thing that we don't want is a person to join our school and not be able to continue. So we put supports into place, but we do need to have that academic merit in place, including the desire and willingness to work hard. Areas of our community principles. We want to make sure that those are being demonstrated of kindness, sustainability, partnership, and good intent, as well as engaging in outside. Moses was saying that football was important to him. So we want to make sure that students are engaged in whether it's sport, art, or service. Really
well-rounded.
Absolutely well-rounded, with some spiky elements here and there that shows where an area of maybe great expertise or interest is. But we do want to be...
How about leadership?
Absolutely. It's one of those things that, in the last, 2 decades, is probably the thing that's been written most about, and still the hardest thing to put a finger on. And so I think the important part is to experience multiple things to find where your place in the world is, where you can help influence yourself as well as others.
Now, just to go off topic a little bit, just supposing you have a student at another school who would like to move over to CIS and say that child is not doing well academically because of certain situations that student is facing with, say, teachers and other challenges at that particular school. But that student is good at music and football, sports, period. Can they apply for the scholarship?
Absolutely, Anita. And in fact, we encourage that. We know that there's many ways of learning, knowing, experience, and working with each other. So absolutely, that kind of speaks to that notion of well-rounded with some spiky bits. And if there's an area of music, art, may I share an aside on art? I think that our children were just in the part of a design of a mural that goes underneath Esterly Tibbetts.
Yes, I saw that.
Oh, you saw that? Oh, and so there's one. It looks fantastic. There's one with wings out, and I think that might become very Instagram popular over time.
It's amazing.
So I think those are the types of things. If a student's able to bring those to any school, we want to make sure we can cultivate that.
So Moses, how important? We know how important the scholarship was for you. How about now you're an accountant with DART? You're doing the big stuff, getting the big bucks at a very young age, and that's awesome. Proud of you, very proud of you. Lifelong learning and educational development programs. What would you say to that?
I would say that it was very. I'm trying to find the word.
Because you're still learning, right, as you go.
Yeah, definitely. It was very enriching. It was very enriching to me because going into CIS, that was a concept that was very heavily, I guess, cultivated within the class groups, that lifelong learning concept, and I've carried that with me since high school, like through to anything that I do. The lifelong learning as well as critical thinking. I think that those are things that I really was able to really develop through my time at CIS, especially the IB program. They have, I think if the structure is still the same, they have various components like the theory of knowledge, the extended essay, the community aspect as well. This is all in addition to the academics. So, kind of really shaping the student into that well-rounded lifelong learner, that I think really propelled me into, my university studies as well as my career currently. Being able to not only be smart, but kind of, challenge the status quo, or, question why things are done the way they're done, and how do I know this, and why do I need to know this? Those are all kind of just like mindsets that I would credit my time at CIS to have instilled into me through things like the IP program. So it was very important to me, and it was very enriching for sure.
So after CIS, you went off to university. Where did you go?
I went to the University of Tampa.
Okay, and you came back home. So when did you realize you want to be an accountant, Moses?
It was an interesting process for me. I started out first wanting to be a psychologist, and then having I guess, kind of just gone through the process doing my first internships here and there. I kind of translated that into business, and I was like, okay, I am kind of interested. I guess where does that most clearly align with business? And I thought human resources, and then from human resources, this was all through high school as well as early years in college. Doing networking events and speaking to business professionals and whatnot, and then I think I went from human resources to undecided. My major was literally undecided at one point at University of Tampa.
I love it.
And then I went from undecided to entrepreneurship, and then from entrepreneurship to finance. So my major ended up being finance. So it was more so in finance and investments, with the concentration on accounting. So having interned at DART during my time at university, it was a really easy transition for me after university to go into that accounting role. So just being able to, I guess, hone in on my academics and my, I guess, math skills, for the lack of a better phrase, it was kind of just a natural transition for me.
I always thought accounting is a dry subject.
I think that's a misconception, because although you can think of it as a dry subject, you really learn the business and you learn everything that they're doing, and you have to know what's happening in order to account for it properly. So it can be pretty interesting, especially considering the nature of the business as well.
You better count for every penny.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to be very detail oriented, and you have to really know what's going on. And through my role as well, you network and you make those connections with executive leaders in the company. So it's like you kind of have that fulfillment through the role as well.
Okay, very good. Moses, we're going to take a quick break. We're speaking with Moses Ebanks. He's the second recipient of the Cayman Citizen Scholarship at Cayman International School. And Mr. Jim Urquhart, he's the director of CIS. Oh gosh.
Don't let the stress of taking care of loved ones get you down.
Home care, now made easier with Cayman Medical Supplies. 100% Caymanian owned. Cayman Medical Supplies now stocks a wide range of home care supplies. Hospital beds, all types of wheelchairs, including beach access wheelchairs, lifts, commodes, shower chairs, walkers, Curad brand orthopedic supplies, free blood glucose monitors with the purchase of 1 pack of test strips, blue underpads, and a whole lot more.
Need home care convenience? Drop by Cayman Medical Supplies at 93 Smith Road, Windward Center, or call 949-6211. Free delivery.
Open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Still delivering island-wide for your convenience.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
And for 45 years, we have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Are you a Caymanian status holder, or a resident of the Cayman Islands who is interested in enhancing transparency, accountability, ethical standards, and promoting awareness in public bodies? If you are civic-minded with the highest level of integrity, the Commission's Secretariat, on behalf of His Excellency the Governor, welcomes your expression of interest for appointment to the various statutory commissions. For more information on the commissions and candidate qualifications, visit the Commission's Secretariat website at www.commissionssecretariat.gov.ky.
Business Buzz. Business Buzz with your host, Anita Khan.
It's all about a scholarship. You want one? We know where you can get one. Cayman International Cayman Citizen Scholarship Program. And we're speaking with Mr. Moses Ebanks. Moses, he was the second recipient of the scholarship. And we have Director of CIS, Jim Urquhart. Jim, let's get back into the nitty-gritty of the program.
Sure.
Before you leave here, we want to know everything, how we can get this, all together. What are any additional information that you can tell us about those who want to apply, who are interested in applying for the scholarship program.
Sure, it's open to anybody here on island who is a Caymanian citizen, whether that a public school or a private school. Perhaps you're younger and interested in the future. Do keep our school on the radar. Our deadline to apply, Anita, is April 30th, and our aspiration is by May 30th to be able to confirm the recipients of the scholarship. I think those are some kind of highlighted points. And it's not just about arriving at the school. It's about contributing beyond that in academically, but also in other aspects that we've been talking about, the arts, athletics, and activities. And like Moses illustrated before the break, the notion when he was human resources, psychologist, and going and have that comfort level to be able to ask yourselves those questions. And I think the scholarship enhances those opportunities to ask yourself difficult questions.
What does it take to maintain those scholarships once you've been granted?
Right. So, excuse me. Academically, we want to have at least a B average. Some people might say, well, why not A? It needs to be A. We recognize that there might be a transition time, so we need to make sure that's recognized. Also need to model our community principles and engage in things outside of school, whether it's being involved in a school band, playing a sport, doing service. That's extremely important as well, and also be able to support the school and community during special events. If there's an island-wide activity related to, say, plastic-free Cayman, we'd like people to be involved in that, and that would be a chance for a scholarship student to maybe experience other parts of the island that they might not regularly be involved with.
So are they supposed to take part in at least any kind of game? Did you have games that compete around clubs that compete around the island?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we participate in both sports and activities and arts with the private and public schools here on island. So just recently with the track and field events that were going on in Truman Stadium, we were definitely engaged in all those. And recently, I think just before the Easter break was the for the first robotics competition. And that involved, I think, 6 different schools on island, public and private schools. So lots of different opportunities.
Do you guys still do the international soccer tournament?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. That was a great experience for us.
So we participate not just on island, but with other international schools off island. Like Moses said, that's in football and basketball and volleyball and swimming.
Do you have an alumni, a recipient alumni reunion at some point?
We have the pandemic.
I'm trying to help Moses down here.
Yeah. the pandemic put a slowdown on those things, but that in addition to adding additional scholarships, now up to 12. We'll be enhancing our alumni opportunities, especially now since our school's young. We know, Moses and I now know each other, and he's the second recipient of the scholarship. So to be able to bring people together, as you see, I might not be as the same age as the scholarship students and our great colleague Keith as well. So we're looking at ways what will be relevant to the younger people.
Good morning, Keith, and he's on the other side keeping Susan company. Good morning. So you've got your work cut out for you. Hope you know that, Moses. Yeah. I had to bring that up. No, you have. I'm assuming that you have a scholarship committee who will be making processing those applications, and they'll also decide whether or not the applicants, or by that time they'll be recipients, they'll if they'll qualify for another academic year.
Correct.
Okay.
And so that would be involved with the absolutely scholarship committee is composed of some people who've been voluntold, and also those who express interest and represent a wide variety of disciplines in our school.
Okay. Now, your deadline is, you said, April 30th, right?
Correct.
That's good to know. Can we get some contact information, Jim?
Sure. You can go to our website at cis.ky, and right there you can see how to apply to our scholarship. When schools resume after the Easter break, you can definitely call our school at 945 4664.
Let me see if I have that.
I don't dial
945-4664. Yes,
perfect.
you're right.
Yeah, I don't dial myself too often.
That's 945-4664. Now, is a scholarship, is this promoted through the public high schools on island?
In the past, it has. Recently, my understanding with the pandemic restrictions, there's been less interactions with the different agencies all around the island. So less so this year, but it's something that we certainly want to be able to do in the future. Again, recognizing that that's delicate because we are all here in education on the island. So.
Right. I was just going to ask you that, if that's something that the other schools, I'm not sure how it works.
Right.
If I'm a high school and another high school is giving a scholarship, a private high school in this case, how it works, if they'll say, like, look, you can't take my students.
Right. And that's why we, that's the sensitivity part, because we don't want to, we all live on the island together. And we live in different areas on the island. So same with staff too. Like since Moses is at Dart, maybe there's other agents. Oh, there's Moses. We'd like to have him work at our place. We want to be sensitive to those things too. So it is a matter of working together. What might be the best fit, and I think that comes into also the student and maybe family choice. What makes sense for that individual.
Okay. How about Cayman Brac?
Oh, actually, that's a great question. Absolutely. That would involve having, say, perhaps a family member that would be willing to have their, a niece or nephew stay with them. But certainly, Cayman Brac, absolutely.
Can I brag a little bit?
Sure, brag. Okay. It's your show, Anita.
My nephew-in-law, David Lee,
right?
He got a scholarship. He was a recipient. I'm not sure what year or if he was the first. Not sure, but he was also a recipient of the scholarship program, and he is now working with walkers as a lawyer.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
David and I played soccer together.
You did play soccer together?
Yeah, all the time, yeah. We did the international tournament and stuff.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, so him and I were there at the same time. Well, he was, I think, I want to say a year or two after me, I believe. But yeah, David's a cool guy. Yeah,
that's great.
Susan is saying that he was here talking about his experience.
Correct.
With the school. Oh, okay, I missed that. Absolutely missed that. But anyway, that was my bragging point this morning. When it comes to the scholarship, offering the scholarship, Jim, what kind of impact can this scholarship have on an organization, on also for the students who receive such a scholarship? We see Moses, we hear Moses' story, but what sort of impact would that have on? Let's talk about Dart for a sec.
Sure. Well, I think impact. Moses was a great example in deciding: is it human resources, is it psychology, is it accounting? Who am I? So I think the impact there is on a person and people finding out what fits best for them. Certainly on the island, we know we're a small island, and we want people to, if they choose to do tertiary education off island, we want them to come back. And what might be the industries that they might to work in, or do they want to start their own? So I think that impact, to be able to ask themselves those questions, have the maturity to make wise decisions. I think other impacts is maybe by going through the IB program, the International Baccalaureate diploma, would that open up avenues at other universities, other programs that might not have been considered before, or perhaps continue the scholarship, having a scholarship for tertiary education based on their good work and the robustness of the program. So those would be immediate impacts. But I think the larger one is giving back to the island in the long run. We want people coming back here, not just going to see you later.
I can speak to the immediate impacts that he said as well. Like through the IB program, that awarded me, I think, the ability to waive, I want to say close to 30 university credits at the University of Tampa. So that in and of itself made me graduate an entire semester early. So for myself, that was, I did get scholarships for university, but, all in all, that was a whole semester's worth of savings for someone if they were paying out of pocket. That's, easier workload and stuff. And I think there was another point that Jim made, I want to say about tertiary education as well. Yeah, so it really just allows students to kind of get that leg up if they go through it and take it seriously. Yeah.
I can sit here and talk about this all day, but I tell you what, we have 20 seconds. So Jim, let's wrap up. Let's have you wrap up this morning.
Super. Well, Anita, first, thanks for having Moses I on your program. You can apply to the scholarship program at cis.ky under the scholarship program. It's open to everybody who's a Canadian citizen interested in high school. We'd love to talk with you.
Okay, it sounds like a wonderful school to be at. I wish I was that age again. Moses, what will you do with us this morning?
I think it's just an amazing opportunity. Probably something that, certain people might not have known about or heard about. So I'm glad to have had the opportunity to talk about it. And I encourage anyone that is even the slightest bit interested to look into it and just ask those questions and even make an application.
I just love it. Thank you so much, Alman. You've been listening to Mr. Moses Ebanks, second recipient of the Cayman Citizen Scholarship of CIS, and he's currently at DART working as an accountant. And I want to say thank you to Mr. Jim Urquhart. Jim is the director of International CIS, and thank you so much. Hopefully we'll have you back in here with more good things to talk about, and you'll probably bump that scholarship up to 24, Jim.
That would be fantastic,
Go
Anita.
from 12
That'd
to
be
24.
Great. Love to be here next year talking about that.
Thanks to our sponsors, Cayman Insurance Center and Cayman Medical Supplies. Also, thanks to all our listeners, our YouTube viewers, and our producer of the Business Buzz, Miss Susan Watson. Thank you, Susan. Until Tuesday, April 26th, when we bring you another Business Buzz, please stay safe. Have a wonderful day. And from me, your host, Anita Khan. Oh, by the way, I'll see you at 12:15 this afternoon, as I will be sitting in on Talk Today for the vacation in Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks.
The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by Cayman Medical Supplies. Call them at 949-6211. And Cayman Insurance Center, celebrating 45 years in the Cayman Islands.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've